My children descend from Heber C. Kimball on the other side of the family. And something that my mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, whom I love deeply to this day, um, expressed many times to me was how much it bothered her. Um, so Heber C. Kimball was married many times. He had many wives. I believe he only had children with five of them. His
Only
youngest,
five of them.
yeah, I know. Um, his youngest wife, his last wife, her name was Mary Smithies, and she was so much younger than him that so she was the very first baby in England who received a name and a blessing underneath like Mormonism.
Hmm.
That's a thing that Mormons do now. Babies are given a name and a blessing. It's a Mormon ritual where the priesthood holding men will gather around and place their hands gently on the teeny tiny little baby's head and give them a baby blessing. Um, and Mary Smithies was a teeny tiny little baby, and she was the very first one who received this baby blessing, and it became a thing. The person who gave her that baby blessing was Heber C. Kimball. And then I don't know how old she was when they married. I don't, she may still have been a teenager. I don't know. I don't have those facts in front of me. But however many years later, whether that was 15, 20 years later, he marries her and I believe they had five children together. Um, and he died of old age when all those children were still very, very young. And they grew up without a father. That poor woman was impoverished, and she had to take care of these five babies, and raise them. And they were desperately poor. And so they were Kimballs. You know, their last name was Kimball. They were Kimballs. But they grew into adulthood with a lot of problems. I know the son that my children descend from was, he was an alcoholic. He was violent with his wife in the future. But he was a Kimball. He was a Kimball, and there was a lot of status in that day if you had one of the last names that, from those prominent church leaders. Rightly so, it was something that my mother-in-law felt deep pain about. Like she would just shake her head and just say, I don't understand. I don't understand. And I don't really want to make this about her because I
Well, her reaction is the moral reaction to.
absolutely, but your question is how can people look at their ancestors and like how can they stay in the church? How
Mhm.
can they believe in a religion and that's what I don't want to make about her because
Yeah.
I'm happy to let people make their choices because I stayed in Mormonism for an awfully long time and I found out, I knew that story. I found
Yeah.
out horrible things. Some of the, things our ancestors did. And I just what the message is and what I told myself because I was told to tell myself this is really that people do the best they can with what they have and God will make it all right in the end. And now and then you just put it on your shelf and you go on with life. But of course now I look at that and I can see so clearly for one what a cop out that is,
Yeah.
but really it allows people to keep doing awful things
Hmm.